We're talking push trucks, PA posse, really big right rear wheels, and racing on dirt. From Silver Dollar to Williams Grove, Eldora to Devil's Bowl, and of course, Knoxville. This is Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Now your hosts, Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
Hello again. It is MRN Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tire here on MRN.com. We are so glad you joined us, talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. And we have a great show lined up today. David Gravel going to join us. He might be the hottest driver right now on the World of Outlaws Tour. We've got Chad Kemenah, who is really rocking and rolling on the All-Star Tour. Doug Johnson, the general manager of Jackson Motorplex in Minnesota. Can't wait to find out what's going on as they get ready to launch their new era. We've got a bunch of other things and just a great show. We're really glad you joined us alongside Erin Evernham. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, what did you went racing on Saturday, right?
Yeah, a different kind of racing.
Different kind of racing.
Yes.
You doing the paddle boarding thing.
Yes, paddle boarding. Interesting.
Yes.
It was my first time racing, and I was like, oh, it's for charity. It was our event. It was for autism. We just stand up for autism. But as soon as they blew that whistle, like the competitor and me just took over, and we were crashing boards. It was aggressive.
Really?
Oh yeah, it got
Any
really
slide jobs?
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, see, there's like a technique to turn those boards around buoys. The professionals, or people know how to do it. They back up to the end of the board and they pivot out of the water. Well, I don't know how to do that. I'm like a rookie, so I'm like making this crazy paddle this side, this side. So of course, one of these people was on the outside of me. So I literally did a slide job. I didn't mean to, but it was like, I'm not turning like you're turning. I'm gonna be going straight. So
a girl.
It was aggressive, but I made the podium.
Yeah, that's
third,
it.
yeah.
Third place in your division. That's great.
Third place is the second loser. So.
Well, that's all right. Podium is good for your rookie run. That's great.
It was fun. All
that's
good.
Cool.
And
Once a racer, always a racer, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For charity.
For charity, exactly. For a good cause. I'm going to slide you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is great. It is great. Erin, it is that week in sprint car racing. I was thinking about the rites of spring, okay? Monday, campers start rolling into Williams Grove.
Yep.
Because the race is Friday.
So
you gotta
get your spot.
Gotta get your spot.
Tailgate started.
Your ice for the beer, it's under ice. And the other rite in spring is Danny Dietrich on Twitter. And Danny has already started, and that's why we love Danny Dietrich on Twitter, by the way. But he's kind of qualified a little bit with Lethal Lee Stauffer, now teamed up with Brad Sweet. I think Danny's a little concerned about that combination coming to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, how many races has Lee won at Williams Grove?
Exactly.
And Brad is one of the hottest guys on the Outlaw Tour.
So Danny's a little bit now. The rest of them, Danny, who? That's what he did. Who are they? Who's coming to town? But he is a little worried about Brad Sweet and Lee Stauffer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And he should be worried about David Gravel.
David Gravel, no doubt about it. David's won at the Grove as well. And, exactly. So it is that week. And I'm just going to tell you, if you're of the faint of heart with social media and bickering and bantering, here's my suggestion. Instead of starting to change the world, just take the week off because it's going to happen. There's going to be smack talking going on.
Someone's going to get offended.
Someone's going to get offended.
Yep.
Someone's going to get hacked off. And if Posse wins on Wednesday night, it's over. It doesn't matter what happens the rest. If Posse has to wait till Friday night to win, it's over. It doesn't matter. It is the greatest rivalry in sprint car racing, the greatest rivalry in motorsports, and it's just really, really cool. A couple of events, and actually it starts tonight as you're watching this, and I just love this group, the York County Racing Fans. Mm-hmm. They are fantastic. Todd Bender is just doing a great job with that group. And tonight they have Jason Johnson, the Ragin' Cajun, at their fan club building there in York. Doors open at 6. Meeting starts at 7:30. You do not have to be a member to join them. But get a chance to hang out with Jason Johnson tonight. So that is really, really cool. And again, I just love what they do with the York Racing Fan Club. I mean, they're just great, great people from top to bottom. And again, you don't have to be a member, but hey, while you're there, join. Yeah, while you're there, join and listen to the Ragin' Cajun. On Thursday, our guy Beersy. Okay, Frank Beers, and those of you that have been listening to this program for years, Frank Beers is our right-hand man with everything.
Yep.
Including beers. He's named
Conveniently
appropriately.
named. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes, indeed. But now on Thursday, Frank Beers will be the guest speaker at the Cumberland Valley High School Racing Club. Erin,
wow.
There's a high school that has a racing club there, and Frank Beers is going to be the guest speaker at their racing club fan meeting. on Thursday afternoon.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So Frank's going up there. It's going to be a great time. But don't you wish when we were in school we had a racing fan club in the school?
My school in Massachusetts definitely didn't have.
No, mine didn't either. All my school did with racing is rolled their eyes when I did another speech on racing or another conversation or book review on racing.
Exactly. I had high school friends come to one of my sprint car races, and they were like, totally out of their element. It was awesome.
It was. What's ironic now, what's funny about mine is I graduated from a small school in northeastern Pennsylvania. There was only 100 kids in my class. 99 actually. One didn't make it to graduation. She had to do a little extended summer school session. So 99. But what's funny about it is I think you can make the case that 10 or 12 ended up doing some racing stuff along the way, whether it's just racing street stocks at the local track, crewing for one of our buddies in a car. Yeah, it was that influence, exactly.
All those papers and stories that you did on racing rubbed off.
In fact, Coleman Gulick, who was doing great stuff in the USAC world and just is no longer doing it, his dad Pete and I went to school together.
Oh, okay.
And Pete and I were buds along the way. And so, but it was just one of those things. But the Cumberland Valley High School Racing Club, Frank Beers on Thursday afternoon, that is fantastic. And man, I'll tell you, it's just really cool. Hey, before we get any further down the road into Pennsylvania and all of the activities of the week, let's take a look at the Valco Racing Wheels results page. Friday night, World of Outlaws. Brad Sweet won at Plymouth over Darren Pittman and David Gravel. Saturday night, David Gravel over Brady Bacon and Parker Price Miller. There were 3 non-outlaws in the top 5.
That's cool.
That was really cool. I actually watched the video of the race.
Me too.
That was a good race.
Yeah. That track is awesome.
Oh, that track is fantastic in Hobstock. Yeah.
Great racing.
Yeah. What I think is amazing, if you looked at the scoring on it, David Gravel led laps 1 through 40. But, boy, that was a different race than a guy that led at 1 through 40.
Yeah.
Man, he had his arms full all night long between lap cars, and it was really good. And we'll talk to David Gravel about this. The Arctic Cat All-Stars, they were at Lernerville. Sheldon Hodenshield picked up the win. Mercer was rained out. IRA bumper-to-bumper sprints at Beaver Dam. It was Billy Baylog scoring the win. Willie Croft picked up the victory with the King of the West Series in Tulare. Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour presented by MAV TV Motorsports. Friday night, Sam Haferteep Jr. Saturday night, Aaron Reitzel as they continue on. Knoxville Raceway, the 410s. Brownie picked up the win.
Yeah.
Oh, he had to be a happy camper. I saw a picture of Brownie and Doug Clark. Whenever you're getting a picture with Doug Clark at the end of a race at Knoxville, you've done something right.
Yes.
Exactly. 2 of my favorite people.
Or you're sharing a beverage.
Well, it could be that, too. 2 of my, no matter what, that's a very good point, by the way. By the way, Brian Brown and Doug Clark, 2 of my all-time favorite people in the world. They're great, great guys, and it was good seeing a happy picture of them together. Justin Henderson won the 360s. Listen to this. We talk about the Pennsylvania and what's going to happen and who's going to be strong. Well, Friday night at Williams Grove, Lance DeWeese, and we talked to Lance last week, the deputy for the sheriff driving for Donnie Kreitz. He won from 5th, but he had to pass Hodnett, Dietrich, Lucas Wolf, and Aaron Ott to get to the front. When you're passing those guys.
That's stout.
Yeah, that really is. So it's going to be fun to watch, and I believe when they get into rolling to Williams Grove, I believe Lance DeWeese is going to be one to watch representing the posse up there in that Kreitz car. That's fantastic. Saturday night at Lincoln? Well, yeah, because most weekends in Pennsylvania, Greg Hodnett gets at least one win. He had to go to Lincoln to do it this time. Hodnett's going to be a handful as well this weekend. The Fast Series was at Attic on Friday night. It was Chris Andrews. Other race winners, Jonathan Allard won at Silver Dollar Speedway. At Devil's Lake Speedway in Prairie, North Dakota, it was Wayne Nygaard. And St. Francis County Raceway in Farmington, Missouri, it was Joey Montgomery picking up the win. Valco Racing Wheels results page. Valco Racing Wheels, made by racers for racers. More information, www.valco.com. Going to be a fun weekend in Pennsylvania. David Gravel represents the state of Connecticut.
Yes,
New Englander.
Yeah.
How about
There's
that?
only a few of us.
I know, exactly. So David Gravel represents the New England area up there in Connecticut, but he is driving for the CJB team, which is a Pennsylvania team. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun week going into that. It's been a fun season so far for David. We'll chat with him next.
I'm Danny Holkraver, and you're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Racers, that's who Valco wheels are. That's who they know, and racing is what they know. Valco Wheels focuses oval track and grassroots racing, and understand racers need a quality wheel that fits your budget. With over 25 years experience, Valco Wheels produces the best product and give you face-to-face support and customer service at the track. Fast delivery, innovative products, problem solving. Find Valco Wheels at Valco.com on Twitter or Facebook, or call Valco Wheels at 609-758-7013. Valco Wheels.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing films. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. Now, back to Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
We are having a blast. We are glad you joined us. Hey, why not tell you something? We've got a new feature coming up. We're going to talk about some of your favorite racetracks throughout the rest of this season. It's called the Great American Dirt Track, presented by a Great American Dirt Track, Port Royal Speedway, and that is coming up in just a little bit on the program. I am so excited about the new feature that we have coming up. It is time to go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Joining us on the Classic Inc. pole position, driver of that CJB Racing number 5 car, straight from Victory Lane in Indiana, David Gravel's on the line. Hello, David. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
How you doing, Steve? Thanks for having me.
It is great to talk with you, son. You are tearing it up this year. A couple of wins, man. Congratulations. Tell us about not only the win on Saturday night, but tell us first about the season to date so far.
It's been pretty solid here lately. We had a couple mishaps starting off the season with the 24th place finish, and then we actually didn't make the show a couple weeks ago, but you take those 2 nights away, and it's been a really, really great season. I have more top 5s already than I did last year, and we haven't really finished worse than 4th in the past 5 races or something like that. So it's been really good.
So tell us a little bit more about Saturday night, the big win. Brady Bacon underneath you just about every lap the last half of the race.
Yeah, he was really strong. He's always really good there. Just one of those things. It was good to start on the outside and got the jump, and once we got to lap traffic, it was it was pretty difficult to get by guys, but it was kind of a protect and just try to keep them behind you thing.
Yeah, I think that's great in protect, but David, how do you decide to protect by running your line, and how do you decide to protect by trying to take his line?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's just something that you kind of go off feel and hear where he's at, and I saw him, several times underneath me when I was running the outside. He was running the inside, so I better, hey, I'll take his line away, and if he's going to pass me, he's going to have to make a big power move around the outside. So I felt better doing that than just leaving the door open down low.
Your crew chief, Barry Jackson, has won there, 3 times in a row now at Hopstop. What's his secret to Tri-City Speedway?
I don't know. I guess their package is really good there. I guess it doesn't matter who drives it. Just to get our first quick time there and win the race was awesome. To keep winning there for that team is awesome. And I've always had fun there. I've run second or third there several times. So it's one of those things that, I always ran there, so I was hoping to get a win there soon.
David, we talked about that race, and we mentioned, you race all over the country with the same guys. You run with Darren Pittman and Brad Sweet and Donnie Schatz and those guys, and maybe you learn a little bit about their tendencies. Brady Bacon, you probably raced with him a fair amount because Brady jumps in and does a fair amount of racing with the Outlaws. Parker Price Miller, one of the young stars, he was up there as well. When you race with different guys that maybe you're not familiar with, is that a different challenge, or do you just kind of still just focus on yourself and let them do what they do?
I think it's really important to know what whoever you're racing with, what they're going to do next on the track. If they're going to go low or high, if you're behind Donnie Schatz or Jason Sides, they're probably going to go to the middle or the bottom. So you should probably go to the top. So you got to maybe not study them, but know what their next move's going to be, so you can maybe get by them in that next corner. So it's definitely important. And then with new local guys that you're pretty sure, you don't know where they're going, it makes it a lot harder. So it's one of those things, not that it makes it easier racing with the best guys, but you at least kind of know what they're going to do next.
David, you're headed to PA to Williams Grove this weekend. How excited are you to be going into that race with the momentum of a big win?
Definitely good. I definitely have a better feeling going in other than, say, struggling and not running well. Also, Barry Jackson, being from Pennsylvania, raced several years locally there. So it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of moving around with all the Outlaw guys. It's always interesting going to PA and Williams Grove and stuff. So I'm up for the challenge, and with this format, you just got to get qualified.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And that's got to be just magnified so many times with all the good cars you're going to face Wednesday night at Lincoln and Friday and Saturday at Williams Grove. David, you're a former winner of the National Open, and I know we rehashed that race time and time again. And it was a race that certainly didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. And a little contact at the end, and of course you're in Pennsylvania, where you don't have to do anything wrong to be disliked, and you didn't do anything wrong, but in their eyes you were. Has that kind of quieted down a little bit when you go up there now, or do they still razz you a little bit about that?
Honestly, I didn't really hear much of it even the night of that, and personally at the racetrack. So
yeah.
It's one of those things that somebody's always going to talk about a little bit here or there. I didn't really get to enjoy that night being one of the biggest sprint car races there ever was. So it's just one of those things. I think people have moved on, and
yeah.
Hey, Dale Earnhardt or Steve Kinsler or Fred Raymer never made many friends out there. So it's just one of those things. You just got to try to win races.
Well, and I think that's the case, and the thing of it is, and I know Kendra and I, when we had you on, we talked. That's not David Gravel. That's not you're there. Once in a while, hard racing is going to yield some contact out there. But Erin, you've raced as well. If you're not going for it, especially with the National Open with $50,000 on the line, if you're not going for it, you may have to explain a little bit to somebody else, but you better explain to that team owner as well, Erin. It's so critical.
Absolutely, and you would regret it for the rest of your life if you're not going to do anything you can to get that checkered flag, especially National Open.
Yep, absolutely. David, you start off in Pennsylvania. I know Williams Grove, you've won there, as we've obviously documented. You start off tomorrow night at Lincoln Speedway. How have you done at Lincoln, and what's your thoughts as you get ready to go into there?
Lincoln's actually been a track that's been a little bit of a struggle for me, but I've had the past couple of years I've run a lot better. So it seems like every time I go, the better I do. So I think I've got like a top 7 or 8 finish a couple times there, and you just got to get qualified. Now with this format, you could, the old format, you start 4th in the heat at Lincoln, and you could maybe not make the show through the heat race. So now if you at least, qualify quick time, you're on the pole, and you're probably going to start in a good spot in the feature. So that's a huge thing is these heat races at these tracks that are going to have very stacked, races. So we're going to see how it goes. We got a good qualifying program, and we finally got our first quick time, but I think we'll be okay.
Being a fellow New Englander, do you have a lot of friends and family coming down for these races? I know for me, it used to be kind of a home track weekend.
Definitely, for sure, my family and maybe a couple friends. Middletown and Lebanon Valley, I probably have 40 or 50 people come, but it's a little harder when it's about 4.5 or 5 hours to come for some people. But I'll definitely have probably 10 to 15 people come, and it's always fun having your friends and family around.
No doubt. Now, are you healthy and everything? Every time we went through a phase there, David, where every time we saw you, you were on crutches or doing. And now, are you good? You've gotten away from all those accidents and dust up and everything. You all healthy and happy with everything?
Well, I tore my meniscus at one time, but then I got mono a couple years ago.
That's what it was.
I'm actually just starting to figure out kind of what's wrong with me. Still, I have backlash from all that, always being tired, but I'm on a lot of different supplements and working on getting my body healthy again, and I think I'm headed in the right direction, and when I do, I think it's going to be really good.
How tough is it to have the discipline doing those sort of things, taking care of your body when you're traveling around the road and like a bunch of gypsies chasing race cars around? How tough is it to do all of that?
It's very hard. You got to be regimented with that stuff. It's very easy to forget. I do sometimes too, but just going to truck stops and you either have choice of McDonald's or hot dogs. So you got to try to make the best of it, and just if they got fruit, maybe try to get some fruit, and don't just eat cheeseburger and fries and a soda. Try to stay away from soda, and just the little things. You just do it the best you can, and go from there. But me being young and getting sick and stuff like that, it just makes me realize that I got to take care of my body no matter how old I am. So I think I'm headed in the right direction. I'm still not 100%, but I'm definitely a lot better than I am a couple years ago. So I'm looking forward to being 100% here shortly.
David, do you do any sort of workout regimen on the road? I know when I ran the Outlaw Tour, it was like impossible. I would go for a run, but you don't know where you are. You're staying in a random hotel somewhere. Do you try to maintain something like that?
It's hard. I try to be active as much as I can. The winter, I lifted weights all winter, but like you said, it's so hard to do it every day or a couple days a week sometimes with our schedules and racing 5 times in 7 days here coming up. So it's one of those things that you try to and just try to eat right at least, so you're not working out and eating like crap. So you just try to make the best of it.
Boy, I'm telling you what, I as a traveler and as a guy that wrestles with that my whole life, I mean, I'm with you on that, David, and with you also on the great success that you're having this season. I can't wait to see how you fare this week. Lincoln, Williams Grove, and even on to Weedsport on Sunday afternoon. Thanks for the time, continued success, and I know we'll talk to you down the road. Thanks, David.
Thanks for having me, guys.
There we go. Joining us on the Hercules Tire Hotline, that's David Gravel on the Classic Ink pole position. Great screen printing and embroidery work, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, hats, and more. Corporate, other sports, schools, special events, ClassicInkUSA.com. That's www.ClassicInkUSA.com. We need to step away. When we come back, Chad Kemenah joins us next.
Winged Nation, kicking up dirt with Steve and Erin right after this on MRN.com.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts during Clean Car Month for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new, like Black Magic Diamond Tire Wet free after mail-in rebate. Leave your tires looking better than ever with Black Magic Diamond Tire Wet free after mail-in rebate during Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is Tony Stewart. You're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Thank you, Tony. Ironic that we have Tony right there. It's almost like Craig Moore, our producer, is thinking. But we know that's not the truth.
Yeah,
we know,
come on.
we know that's not happening, but Tony Stewart's Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions and one of the top drivers, in fact, on a real run here lately. Picked up a win at Bedford, some incredible runs over the last month and a half. Driver of the Hunter Racing number 10H car, Chad Kemenah, joins us. Hello, Chad. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
How you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic, but I would dare say you might feel like you're doing better than that. I'm sitting here saying it's a pretty good start of the season. What are you saying about it?
Yeah, it's probably it might be the best start to a racing season I've ever had. So pretty excited right now, and racing's really fun again.
You picked up your 30th career All-Star win earlier this year. Did you ever think when you started out with the All-Stars that you would have 30 career wins? That's pretty impressive.
No, I can remember trying to get the first one. So it's pretty good accomplishment, but we're still a long way away from somebody like Dale that's got over 100. So we gotta keep working.
You mentioned having fun. How tough is this sport? And you and Chad, we've followed along with you. You've been in the sport where you're not having fun, and you mentioned you're now having fun. How tough is this sport when you're not having fun?
It's miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely miserable. I always said, when I quit having fun, I was just going to quit. And I just about got to that point a couple years ago. And then Rob and Rita Hunter offered me this thing with my brother, and it's kind of put a little bit of pep back in my step, I guess.
Chad, I haven't talked to you since you and your brother reunited. How has that been as a driver and as a member of family? Like, how has that been for you?
Oh, it's been a really, really good thing. Even back when I owned my own car a couple years ago, he came with me the last half of the season. And actually, when I parked mine, a buddy of mine put a car together for us. And kind of the last half of a season there, we probably ran, 15, 20 times. And I could tell it was almost like we never quit racing together.
That's cool.
That relationship, and brothers, you have times when you're on the same page, and you have times when you're not on the same page. I think that's the case. Yeah, exactly. You've been there. But we often talk about it, and we talk about this in NASCAR as well. That relationship is almost like a good one, is almost like a marriage, if you will, between it. And is that what you feel like you've got right now? Is that you and your brother are just clicking on the same page? When you said it's a little this, he knows what a little that means.
Yeah, it is, and I'm back to where I don't worry about anything except for driving the race car, and that's when you're successful in this game, is when you got too much on your plate and you start worrying about everything around you. And, when I owned my own, it was trying to make sure that I had enough money to get there, and you can't race that way, and it shows, and now here it seems like we're heading the right direction, and I just don't ask anything anymore, and that's what Rob wants, and it's a really neat thing right now.
Do you think that's one of the things that makes your brother Brian so good as a crew chief, his attention to detail? And like you said, you don't have to. You have confidence in him. You don't have to worry about the small things.
Absolutely, that's what I tell it. I've said that for years. He's a perfectionist, and it's just that you got to know how he operates. Kind of just. You can always tell when my brother is really successful. It's when the car owner lets him do his own thing, and everything flows really, really smooth. And he's done it repeatedly, over the years. And it just seems like right now he could turn the wing around backwards, and I still think I got a shot of winning.
That's awesome.
Man, that is good stuff right there. That really is. Okay, so, Chad, I'm just honest assessment of the way things have been over the last few years. We've looked at the All-Star Circuit of Champions as Dale Blaney's show. I mean, we have the numbers have backed that up and everything. And I'm not big on, you're going to go up there and whoop Dale's butt. I'm not big on that. But do you feel like now, toe-to-toe, you guys are pretty close to where Dale and George are, or are there still areas that you're working on?
You always got things you want to work on in this thing, but I think when we pull in there, I absolutely 110% believe that I can win every race. And it doesn't matter if it's an outlaw show or an all-star show or a local show here at Attica. I feel like I can win.
Chad, you ran the Outlaw Tour for a few years, and now you're back running the All-Stars. Was it kind of like coming back home? What's it like in comparison? Competition-wise, camaraderie?
I mean, the outlaw thing it's an animal of its own just because of the amount of travel. You leave home and, from just my personal experience, I had wife, 2 kids, and you leave sometimes, you're gone for 3 months at a time, and it's how you deal with that. And when you're back around home racing, as far as the All-Stars on a competition level, I would have to say that overall, you may not have the big money teams. It's just that when you come back around home here, it's really, really a competitive level at its highest. And it showed last year. I think Attica might have been the only place all year long that the Outlaws didn't have somebody on the podium.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, it's just a matter of, I always said the outlaw thing when I did it, I owned my own stuff. I knew where every why my wife let me do that for that many years, I don't have any idea. But her and my father-in-law, you know, they were bound determined that something good was going to come out, and it did. You know, I'm with Rob and Rita now, my brother, and we got really good people behind us that came on board this year. And I said this when I did it, and I firmly believe it, the outlaw thing, you got to be careful because they could literally outdollar you at a car wash. And it just, how do you deal with that mentally? And it shows in every form of motorsports. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. That almighty dollar thing, it'll rear its ugly head.
Boy, that's accurate as well. It's an interesting point and very, very accurate. We're talking with Chad Kemenah here on the Hercules Tire Hotline. He is in the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Hey, you know, last year the topic, every time we had one of you All-Star guys on, our question was, how's Tony Stewart doing? Well, he had the chance to get his feet wet last year, a late start on it. He had the chance to work a full off-season this year, and things still rolling along pretty well with the Arctic Cat All-Stars?
Yeah, it is. It's fun again, you know, and you can see that in the, you know, the fans and the racers. Just in the pit area, it's a totally different atmosphere from when I first came back and started racing. He's bringing a lot of. Does everybody like everything he's doing? No, and nobody will like everything, right, you know, that somebody's doing, no matter what it is. But overall, he's making it fun. And he's given us a lot of races. That's a plus. You know, he's added probably 20 races to the schedule, you know, it's a concrete thing when it's on the schedule, and he's got pretty good people working for him right now. And it seems like the more we go, the better every night seems to get.
That's cool. Switching topics a little bit, I want to talk Knoxville, because I always believe that you're, in my opinion, one of the best that can run the bottom at Knoxville. And I always remember the years when you were with your brother and you guys were so successful there. Is that giving you a little bit more excitement to go back again this year? I know you ran with him last year there as well, but.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always look forward to Knoxville, you know, because of the Nationals is one thing, but I remember going there and just not even being able to compete at all. And once I got comfortable there, I'm not in an arrogant way. I just feel like when I pull in there and if I got everything in line, I stand a shot of doing pretty fair.
Man, that's that attitude is the battle, and man, it's great to hear you. It's great to hear that comfort level you have with it. Before we get to Knoxville this week, you've got a race at Lincoln, Illinois on Friday night, and then you're going up to meet up with some IRA guys up at Wilmot. Just tell us about this coming weekend and what you're looking forward to along the course of the schedule here this weekend.
Well, you know, we get to race against new people, you know, like around the Illinois area. That's something that I can't say I've ever raced there before, but it's always exciting to me to go to a new place. In the IRA thing, I just like racing against them guys. The racetracks are smaller, so it kind of puts everybody at the same playing field, and they're a good bunch of guys to race with, and it's like I say, it's just fun.
I've watched I get a chance, most years I've had a chance to catch at least one IRA race, and I've enjoyed every part of it, from signing in to walking to my car, everybody, every person. It's just a whole bunch of really good people, and it's interesting to hear, and it's interesting to hear your perspective on that as well. Well, Chad, I'll tell you what, it's so amazing what you're doing this year, and we love following along with it, and giving us a lot to look at here in the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Thanks for the time today, and continued success.
All right, thanks a lot.
There we go. That is Chad Kemenah joining us on the Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions, and I'm telling you, he's going to be a handful. Yeah. He's going to be a handful.
You can hear the confidence.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I don't know Chad all that well. Obviously, you've raced against him. Yeah. Kendra grew up in Ohio. I don't know Chad all that well. That's a different Chad right there than I think I've talked to on this program because of that confidence.
Yeah, Chad is a great person, and his brother, his sister-in-law, his whole family, that I got to know them pretty well racing. And I'm telling you, when they were together back in the 15K, they had the blue car years back when I was racing, they were really tough to beat. I mean, they dominated the All-Stars. They ran second at Knoxville. I mean,
They're tough.
Exactly.
They're going to be. That is so exciting to see just another great driver continuing on and finding new life, if you will, finding a new opportunity here that is just taking advantage of it. Now, we love to talk about the drivers. We love you fans. We talk on social media all the time. But one of the things we don't always talk about are the racetracks. And so our friends at Port Royal Speedway, the Speed Palace, love the Speed Palace. They came to us and said, look, we want to do something with you guys. We want to just have some fun with it. And it's like, and we got thinking about what we can do. And it's like, well, we don't focus on the racetrack. So here's what we're going to do. Every week here on MRN Winged Nation, we're going to have the Great American Dirt Track segment. Okay, and I'll tell you when we get done with the segment how you participate on Facebook with us, okay, on Facebook, facebook.com/Winged Nation. But here it is, debuting. I feel like we need a drum roll or something. Ashley Strummy is going to do it. Catch Ashley on MAV TV with me on Winged Nation and on Slinging Dirt here on MRN. But here is Ashley Strummy for this week's Great American Dirt Track.
This is Ashley Strummy. Located near New Richmond, Wisconsin, Cedar Lake Speedway got its start when Elmer Cook built a driveway through a swamp on his farm in 1956. Elmer mentioned to his eldest son, Bob, that the natural bowl around the swamp would make the perfect racetrack. Bob, only 14 at the time, started working on the track at 6 a.m. the very next morning, and in 3 weeks, the track was roughed out. In 1957, the first race was held with a field of 12 cars and 85 spectators on hand at the flat clay oval racetrack. Today, Cedar Lake is a high-banked 3/8 oval that hosts the World of Outlaws, the IRA Sprints, and some of the biggest dirt late model races in the country, and is only one of a few NASCAR-sanctioned dirt tracks in America. Among the notable racers who raced at Cedar Lake in their early careers is current World of Outlaws champion Donnie Schatz. Oh, and that driveway through the swamp that started it all, it's now the main entrance to the track. Cedar Lake Speedway, a great American dirt track brought to you by another great American dirt track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway.
So there you have it, Cedar Lake, and Aaron Crocker, as you were known at the time, you raced around there as well.
I have raced there a bit, and it's funny about the swamp part because actually when we ran there, this was years back now, heavy rains, and I remember the pit area was quite like a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ran the Jerry Reichert Memorial, and actually that's Amy Tatnall's father.
Okay.
And Amy's a good friend of mine. It was a really cool race.
That is really cool. So here's what we're doing now on this. Every week we're going to feature another Great American Dirt Track, and what you need to do, and this will go at 1 o'clock Eastern Time Tuesday when the show is over, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Winged Nation. And we're simply asking you to share your Cedar Lake stories, your Cedar Lake memories. What's your favorite story, favorite race you've seen there? And so, again, you go to facebook.com/Winged Nation and share with us. That'll be up at 1 o'clock when this show is over, your Cedar Lake story. And we'll look forward to following along and learning more. Those of us that haven't been there, learning more about the great Cedar Lake Speedway. That is the Great American Dirt Track, brought to you by another Great American Dirt Track, the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway. We need to step away. Jackson Motorplex has got a new lease on life, and we'll talk to Doug Johnson from the Speedway next.
I'm Kerry Madsen, and you're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Ready to take the training wheels off your race scanner? Go to fanvision.com and upgrade your experience with FanVision. Not only will you be able to hear the race,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets a good run, drafting help from Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Jr. again pulls up alongside for the race lead.
you'll see every moment through live video, instant replays, live stats, and more.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 McDonald Chevrolet, and I never go to the track without my FanVision. So go to fanvision.com to rent or buy yours today.
2 big nights of racing every week at the all-new Jackson Motorplex in Jackson, Minnesota. 3 classes of sprint cars. The NSL 410s, the GoMuddy.com NSL 360s, and the Race Saver 305 sprint cars tackle the big half-mile Friday nights starting on May 13th with the Folkin Brothers Spring Nationals. Be at the all-new Jackson Motorplex every Friday night this summer and mark your calendars now for the 38th running of the Jackson Nationals, September 2nd through 4th.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. Now, back to Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
I'm telling you what, folks, we're having so much fun, and we are so glad you joined us here on MRN Winged Nation. There's so much good happening in the sprint car world, and the Midwest is one of our big focus. The upper Midwest, one of our focus, is the weather has finally given them a chance to get their season started. Jackson Motorplex, Todd Quering purchased the track a year and a half ago, I believe it was, and promised us the world, and it looks like the world has been delivered. Doug Johnson is the general manager up at Jackson and joins us on the line. Hello, Doug. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic. All right, you've been working and building and painting and doing everything. Friday night's the night, your season opener. How are things looking for you guys?
Well, the weather's finally broke, and things are looking great right now. We've had sunshine here the last few days and dry weather, and things are looking good. We've got a lot of construction going on today and happening all week, but we're going to be ready to race Friday night.
So tell us some of these new improvements that we've heard so much about.
Well, Aaron, the first thing that we did is last year we actually widened the track a year ago and put up brand new muscle lighting. So that's really not new this year. But for this year, what we did is, or after last season, we took down all of the existing bleachers and grandstands and put up brand new bleachers. These actually came from Daytona and Richmond, Virginia. Wow. So we've got brand new bleachers. And then we also have VIP suites on top of these. We've got 20 VIP suites that are pretty much sold out for most of the year. We still have a few availability, or a little bit of availability left on Saturday nights, but most of our sprint car events on Friday night, the suites are pretty much sold out, and we're going to have a new expanded parking area. There's a lot of things in the works too. This is kind of a 3-year plan, that Todd has put together here, and we're just kind of in the middle of it right now. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming up, not only through this year but also through 2017 as well.
What's it like building all of this stuff in Wisconsin or in Minnesota in the middle of the winter?
It sucks, to be honest with you. There's, we had, a lot of snow over the winter, and now the last couple weeks we've had in the last 3 weeks, I think we've had about 9 inches of rain up here. So, oh my God. It's kind of been a swamp, and trying to dry things out now, and things are finally looking good. Hopefully we've turned the corner here weather-wise and continue to move forward and can be able to race, every Friday and Saturday night here on out.
Now, you mentioned there's construction still going on, and I grew up in the family of construction. That was my father's business. So I'm just curious, is everything going to be all buttoned up before Friday night?
Well, it's going to be ready to race, put it that way.
Okay.
There's still going to be stuff going on. I know the far west end of our bleachers isn't going to be completely done. We're going to have to rope that off for the fans so they can't get in there. But we're going to be ready to race. There's going to be construction going on all summer long up here. We've got a ton of improvements that we want to make, and but we're going to be ready to race, and we'll be able to race starting this Friday night. So,
Doug, you and I, we broke bread at down in Daytona. We had breakfast together. Just love the conversation we had, and I love what you're doing with the Friday night and Saturday night program. And I think I've tried to explain it here, but explain to our listeners what's going on Friday night, what's going on Saturday night, the whys you're doing what you're doing there.
Well, traditionally, Jackson's always been a Saturday night program. They've run sprint, basically 360 sprint cars along with 4 or 5 IMCA classes. And, over the winter, Todd and I talked, and we decided that, with all the changes in sprint car racing, there really isn't a Friday night program, within 300 miles of us. So what we decided to do is to make Friday night all sprint cars. And then Saturday night will be our IMCA stock car classes. And, so every Friday night we're going to have 3 classes of sprint cars. There's some nights where the NSL 410s won't be here. We're going to actually add a non-wing 360 class from the South Dakota area. It's the HRA non-wing cars. And then also on those nights we're going to have double features for the 360 sprint cars. So fans will be treated to double features on those nights when the 410s aren't there. But we'll have the 410s, NSL 410 cars there 6 times, plus, the Jackson Nationals will be NSL 410 and 360 cars for 3 days of the Jackson Nationals. So, we kind of decided to split this up. Jackson's kind of always been a sprint car hotbed, but over the years, the IMCA classes have really grown, and there's a huge following, with other tracks. A lot of those tracks are racing on Friday night, so it's kind of a natural fit for us to move or keep that on Saturday, and then just move the sprint cars to Friday night. So, hopefully it works out in the long run. If not, we'll adjust the program and try something different next year. But that's kind of what we're going to shoot for this year and see how it goes.
Speaking of schedule, what are some of your big events that you have planned for the year?
Well, one of the bigger ones is happening this Friday night with the Fulkin Brothers Spring Nationals. It's an NSL points race for the 410 cars. We're paying $10,000 to win. One thing that we're going to do that I don't think hardly any other tracks have done is we're going to start 30 cars in the A main. Wow. So if we have 30 410s show up, they're all going to start the A main. And so that'll be interesting. And then another big weekend in Thursday, June 23rd, is the USAC non-wing sprint cars come to town. And then the following night will be the World of Outlaws sprint cars on Friday night, June 24th. Wow. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, the Jackson Nationals, the AGCO Jackson Nationals, will be September 2nd through the 4th. It's going to be a 3-day event for the 410 and 360 cars. And then we wrap up the season on September 23rd and 24th with our IMCA Stock Car Nationals, which is a 2-day event this year. So a lot of great events. Fans will be able to order tickets online on our website for those events coming up here. So just looking forward to a great season with those series coming to town.
Doug, my final question for you is, and I've enjoyed a couple of cold beers with Todd Quering, your boss, the owner of the place, and I've enjoyed breakfast with you. Can you just share with our listeners Todd's vision of when he's done with this renovation and all this, what is Jackson Motorplex going to be?
Well, our goal, Todd's and mine alike, is to make one of the premier facilities in the entire country. We want to rival it with the Knoxvilles and Eldoras. That's kind of what our goal is, it's not going to happen overnight, but Todd's got a vision, and we're going to follow that vision and try and make this one of the premier racetracks or dirt tracks in the entire nation. We want people to mention us in the same breath as Knoxville and Eldora, for, in years to come, and hopefully we can get some other big events here that can draw people, not only sprint cars, but we're looking at, other different events too with, possibly big late model shows. And, we're looking at expanding our stock car nationals to more than 2 days down the road. So, there's a lot of great things. Todd, the greatest thing I like about working for Todd is he's actually a true race fan at heart, and that's kind of been my passion my entire life is sprint car racing. And I grew up with it. I grew up here in Jackson, and I'm just really looking forward to the future. And I think we've got some exciting things coming down the road here at the Jackson Motorplex.
It is perfect, and it is going to be great to see what you guys do up there. Doug, appreciate the friendship and also appreciate the conversation today. Thanks so much for joining us here on MRN Winged Nation.
You bet. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
There we go. That is Doug Johnson, and it is such an exciting time in sprint car racing.
It really is.
It just is, because we're hearing these stories, whether it's Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, or Jackson, or Weedsport, New York. We're hearing all of these stories about investment, about growth. Last year, Kendra was on with new sponsorships with Knoxville.
Yeah.
We're rolling into Pennsylvania with the Outlaws. It's just an exciting time, and what they've got going on at Jackson is just amazing what they're doing to rebuild this racetrack.
It really is. And it's funny. I've talked to a few racers who talk about struggling to find money to keep going and sponsorship, like we all do. But then I hear from manufacturers like car builders that they can't keep up. It's a good problem. So obviously there's people out there finding sponsorship, but it seems like the sport is really healthy.
Drivers in the Midwest have so many options now, and it used to be they would watch those rascals over in Pennsylvania and say, man, I'd love to have Friday night. I'd love to have options. Now they do, and it's really, really good for the sport. So it is great to talk with Doug along the way. One of the other great aspects of the Midwest is the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum right there, turn number 2 in Knoxville. We always like to talk about birthdays of Hall of Famers and other key people in the sport. Today would have been the birthday of Steve King, would have been 43 years old. Thursday, the birthday of Kevin Huntley. Friday, Tony Stewart. Janet Holbrook, Bob Swikert. So those are the birthdays. But I want to come back to today. Steve King would have been 43 years old. His father raced. Steve started racing at 8 years old in go-karts and then moved up and, just kind of moved his way up the ladder, if you will. Went to Kansas State University along the way, had a degree in animal science, and then by the mid-'90s, he'd found his footing. He was NCRA racing 360s up into 2000, 2003, won the championships. 2006, the goal was to get into the Knoxville Nationals. The preliminary night, won his heat race, was running 16th in the preliminary feature on that night, and those of you that know the history of the sport know that this thing takes a bad turn. Terrible crash, and unfortunately Steve lost his life. Ironically, his one goal was to make the Knoxville Nationals. The crash was on the white flag lap, or with one lap to go. Had he finished where he finished, he was in the Knoxville Nationals. And tragically, Steve died back in 2006. There is no way to replace Steve. But I absolutely love what families do when they take a tragic, horrific situation like the death of Steve and try to make something good for it. And his father, Daddy, and Naomi have found the Steve King Foundation. And Erin, I know you've contributed some items for fundraisers and stuff, but this is a foundation helping racing families heal, from one family who's healing, the Steve King Foundation, taking a terrible situation and turning it into something much more positive. It's an amazing story what they've done.
It really is amazing, and I've heard families that have benefited from the money that they've raised to help them out.
Yeah, indeed. The Steve King Foundation, you can find out more information at stevekingfoundation.org. And we kind of tie that in with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Of course, they're involved with their Expand the Dream program. Birthday would have been today, sprintcarhof.com. That's sprintcarhof.com. And also, I want to tie this in with our Jeff Gordon Kick It Person or Persons of the Week, Danny and Naomi King. I can't imagine going through what you went through, what they went through, and then creating something that has benefited so many people. So our Jeff Gordon Kick It Persons of the Week, Danny and Naomi King, founders, operators of the Steve King Foundation, for all of their great work since the passing of their son. Steve would have been 43 years old today. We need to step away. It is a big weekend of sprint car racing coming up, and we'll talk about it next.
Hi, this is Sam Haferteep. You're listening to Winged Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew crewwear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts during Clean Car Month for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new, like Black Magic Diamond Tire Wet, free after mail-in rebate. Leave your tires looking better than ever with Black Magic Diamond Tire Wet, free after mail-in rebate during Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane. Now back to Winged Nation.
Thank you, Casey. I don't know where the time goes, but it flew by, that's for sure, on this program. We just heard Casey next Thursday, a week from Thursday, the day before the Outlaws race here at Charlotte, Casey Kane Fan Day, and we will have a special live edition of MRN Winged Nation from Casey Kane Fan Day. That's coming up next Thursday. Erin, I love this time of the year, and we started the show, we talked about Outlaws versus Posse. And we know from a social media perspective where a lot of the talk is going to be. But this is a huge weekend across the board. In the Midwest, we just talked to Doug. Jackson opens up. Then the National Sprint League goes down to Knoxville. So it's a National Sprint League Saturday night at Knoxville, which is great. And Badlands opens up as well up at Huset's, okay? Now, what Badlands has done is absolutely just first off, it cracks me up because it's so different and it's eye-opening. It's called the Silver Shootout, okay? And the operator of Badlands, Chuck there, he went last year and purchased about $25,000 worth of silver. Okay, silver bars.
Yep.
Purchased them, okay? And what he's paying is the winner on Saturday night gets 166 silver bars, okay? This, as of the end of April, is valued at $28,402 in silver bars. Now, silver prices, you can hang on to, you can cash them in, or you can hang on to them. And silver prices have gone much higher than they are now.
Yeah.
And he's paying the entire purse in silver bars. So, I mean, it's like you look at it, you look at, second place is approximately 14,000. Third place, 11,000 in the number of silver bars. And so it's like right now for the starting the A main, it looks like at the end of April, the value is $855.
That's a stout.
Pretty
payout.
stout.
Pretty heavy.
So we're going to be watching the Midwest, okay? And then in Wisconsin, you've got the All-Stars and the IRA guys dancing together. So, I mean, it's just a great weekend, and it's going to be so much fun following along. But we do talk about Pennsylvania starting off. We don't have to wait. Tomorrow night.
Yep.
You kidding me? Tomorrow night, Wednesday night sprint car racing. It is going to be shutting it down at the Post House because the Gettysburg Clash is on, and we'll be twisted into Dirt Vision, and we'll be set at the fabulous Lincoln Speedway to see who is going to be crowing the loudest. Those in Pennsylvania or those in the other 49 states and every country on the planet that is not in Pennsylvania. So it's the Gettysburg Clash on Wednesday night, Williams Grove on Friday night, and Williams Grove racing for the Morgan Cup on Saturday night. And then they're not done. The World of Outlaws moved north up to the absolutely state-of-the-art Weed Sport Speedway for a Sunday night show. We talked to Doug, Jackson Motorplex, season opener, NSL 410s on Friday night, NSL 360s and the Race Saver 305s. We mentioned the Silver Shootout at Badlands Motor Speedway. Knoxville Raceway, the National Sprint League for the 410s. My gosh, that's going to be good. Arctic All-Star Circuit of Champions. We talked to Chad Kemenah about this. Friday night, Lincoln, Illinois. Saturday night, Wilmot in Wisconsin, co-sanctioned with the IRA. And the IRA drivers, they keep rolling. On Sunday night, the bumper-to-bumper IRA sprints racing at the famed Angel Park Speedway. Did you ever race there?
I only watch races because they don't run sprint cars there very often.
No, they just started last year or so with the IRA sprinters.
I've seen some midget race there. Such historic
legendary
place.
track. So they're running on Sunday night. Oh, we're not done, folks. I'm just turning the page here.
Had to take a breath.
Yeah, I had to catch my breath. King of the West is at Stockton. Weekly 410 racing, Lernerville, River City Speedway in Grand Forks, North Dakota. That's on Friday night. Saturday night, Atomic in Ohio, Fremont in Ohio, Wayne County in Ohio. Oh, my gosh. There must be a lot of sprint cars in Ohio. Mercer in Pennsylvania, St. Francis County in Farmington, Missouri. And Sunday night, yes, because the World of Outlaws are on Sunday night, so are the NOSA Sprints in Glendon, Minnesota at the Buffalo River Race Park. Lucas Oil ASCS regional racing this weekend, Creek County Speedway and Sapulpa, Oklahoma on Friday night. Missouri State Fair in Sedalia, Missouri, also on Friday night. Two different regions racing there. On Saturday night, Lawson, Oklahoma and Minton, Florida for different regions. The regional tour, the Lucas Oil ASCS regional tour. MRN Winged Nation presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV, Saturday, 9:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m. Great young guy, Matt Covington, one of the great young Lucas Oil ASCS racers, going to join us.
Be interested to hear that.
Great stuff. And then MRN Winged Nation weekend presented by Hepner Racing Products. You never know what T-Mac's going to say.
No,
literally,
you never know.
So T-Mac going to join us because we're going to talk about all the fixings and happenings in the Midwest. So we have got it covered. I mean, it is a great weekend of sprint car racing. We will be on Facebook at facebook.com/WingNation. Go there and do your Cedar Lake story. We'll have that up in just a few moments as you're watching this live, but then all weekend long, and then on Twitter at Winged Nation. So give us all something to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll be texting. We'll be all good stories for next week's show as far as that goes. So it is going to be absolutely amazing. And I just love, and I think that's the great part about sprint car racing, from California to Pennsylvania, from Minnesota, Wisconsin, all the way to the Deep South. It's so healthy across the board.
Yeah.
We got racing and guys and gals racing cars everywhere.
In this time of year, it's like you're racing 4 or 5 nights a week.
I know. Oh, it's tough to keep up with, but bless our hearts. We'll continue to try to do that.
Suffer through it.
Yes, suffer through it. Hey, thanks to David Gravel, to Chad Kemenah, to Doug Johnson, but more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here on Wing Nation.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.